Dreamscape, weird fantasy thriller released in 1984, about the possibility of exploring people's dreams. It tells the story of Alex Gardner, played by Dennis Quaid, a young psychic who has chosen to use his abilities for his own selfish financial gain rather than putting his abilities to good use. Gardner is approached by his former teacher, who convinces him to help in his research into dreams, in which Gardner partakes in a government-funded operation, in which the young psychic is able to travel into other people's dreams and interact within the world of the dreamer's mind. But things aren't as innocent as they seem, as the project gets hijacked by a government agent who wants to use the Dream Project as a weapon in order to kill people in their dreams, as killing people in their dreams kills people in real life. And he does this by using fellow psychic, the dangerous Tommy Ray, in a plot that involves killing the President of the United States, in this underrated gem that is an exciting mixture of insightful science fiction and nerve-wracking horror. Dreamscape is a brilliant film, and definitely one that deserves more mentioning. Well, today I am going to do just that, as I explore the strange and surreal world of Dreamscape, and look into 10 things that you may not know about this classic movie from the 80s. So, with that, let's step inside the Dreamscape.
Mr. President, listen to me. Your life is in danger.
Number 10. Kevin Costner was nearly the villain. In Dreamscape, we learn about the sinister Tommy Ray. Although he may look like a weasel, this is one dangerous guy you don't want to mess with, as he ruthlessly enters people's dreams and kills them, where he also unleashes his love for martial arts along with his ability of being able to turn into grotesque monsters. The role was played by David Patrick Kelly, who has a career of starring as movie villains, starring in other movies such as The Warriors, Commando, and The Crow, to name but just a few. And just as with those roles, in Dreamscape he really does a good job of playing an unlikable jerk. However, acclaimed actor Kevin Costner was originally offered the role, but he turned it down because he didn't just want to be a supporting actor.
Have a heart.
By the way, I would totally be up for watching a movie where Kevin Costner plays a psycho who enters people's dreams and kills them. That'll be awesome. Number 9. Electric Score. The movie was composed by French composer Maurice Jarre, in which his score goes from 80s pop to generally alien-like and haunting. Jarre composed the score electronically. Originally, the production team was against this, but Jarre stuck to his guns and insisted that giving the movie an electronic score would give the movie a strange, distinct feel, in order to go with the movie's surreal themes of dream exploration. And considering that Jarre has an insanely impressive career of scoring movies, including Lawrence of Arabia, Dr. Zhivago, The Man Who Would Be King, Witness, and Ghost, the guy clearly knew his stuff. And thus Jarre conducted his obscure musical score, which definitely enhances the oddity of the movie. Number 8. The movie was produced and written by Chuck Russell. Indeed, working on the movie was a young Chuck Russell, who shortly after would go on to direct A Nightmare on Elm Street 3, The Dream Warriors. In fact, I like to think that it was working on Dreamscape that got Russell the job on A Nightmare on Elm Street 3. After all, both movies are about dreams and how much of a nightmarish realm the imagination can be. Russell would then go on to direct the Blob remake, which is one of my favourite horror movies of the 80s, as well as The Mask. So clearly Russell is a visionary filmmaker, who without a doubt was credit to some of the imagination aspects of Dreamscape. However, having Chuck Russell involved isn't the only connection to the Nightmare on Elm Street film series. Which brings me to my next point. Number 7. The movie was competing against A Nightmare on Elm Street. 1984 was definitely the year of dreams when it comes to cinema, as that year there were 2 movies which explored the boundaries of deadly nightmares, as we got Dreamscape and A Nightmare on Elm Street, which were released just 3 months apart from one another. When you think about it, there are actually a lot of similarities between the 2 movies. Both are about the prospects that dying in your dreams mean you die in real life, and both feature a killer who can transform into anything he wants when he enters people's dreams, and uses it as a way of terrorizing his victims. The biggest difference between the 2 is that Dreamscape is more of a thriller that involves government espionage, whereas A Nightmare on Elm Street is more of a balls-to-the-wall horror movie. Number 6. It was the second movie to be rated PG-13. Thanks to Steven Spielberg and his love for putting in edgy material in PG movies, a new rating system was inserted into the movie classification code. After controversy over his movies Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom and Gremlins being too violent and gruesome to be classified as family-friendly films, Spielberg helped in the creation of the PG-13 rating. A rating that sat in between a regular PG and an R rating. And Dreamscape glorified in this new rating. The first movie to be released as a PG-13 was Red Dawn, and the second was in fact Dreamscape, in which the movie was able to use more violence and gore, obviously to appeal to the teenage audience. But it wasn't an R, so younger audiences could still watch it, which definitely gave the movie more of an edge and made the world within the movie feel much more like a dangerous place, and much more shocking and nightmarish, which helps when the movie itself is, well, about nightmares. In other words, the PG-13 rating definitely enhanced the movie. Number 5. The movie was based on a novel. Author Roger Zelazny claims that he wrote an early draft of the script in 1981, and his draft was based on his 1966 novel, The Dream Master. And yes, there are similarities between the 2 stories, particularly with the idea of crossing into people's dreams, but there is much more than that with The Dream Master. As being set in the future, The Dream Master feels much more science fiction, whereas Dreamscape has a much more grounded reality. In The Dream Master, those who enter dreams are called Shapers. And the story focuses on a blind patient called Eileen, who despite being blind, still wants to be a Shaper, where she and the main hero, Charles, explore the dark recesses of the mind. Zelazny claims that when 20th Century Fox took over the project, he no longer worked on the film, and his original story changed so much, his name was removed from the credits. Which, when you think about it, is a bit harsh. Number 4. The Italian movie poster is terrifying beyond words. All well-known movies have had foreign posters made in order for said country to promote the film, which can be interesting to see other countries' interpretations of well-known Hollywood movies. And often these posters can completely miss the mark, which brings me to the Italian poster for Dreamscape. And boy, is this one, well, interesting. I mean, wow, just look at this thing. First of all, the poster's main focus is the villain Tommy Ray and the snake monster. Although, I don't know why Tommy is yellow. I guess he has jaundice, I don't know. But that's the least weird thing about this poster. I mean, what's with the naked woman? Who is she? What is she doing? And what's with the creepy, skinless old man? I don't get it! Like, what's going on? My god, this poster is generally disturbing. Is this man meant to be the Alex Gardner character? I sure as hell don't remember a scene where he came out of some woman's southern regions. In fact, why is this woman cracking? Why is this villain crying blood? Is this Tommy Ray or LaShifa from Casino Royale? I just don't get it. What's going on here? But to be fair though, the official American poster misses the mark too. I can't help but feel like they were going for an Indiana Jones feel. It looks like these guys are off on an adventure. Look at Gardner, he even has a torch like how you would expect Indiana Jones to use while exploring a cave. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love this poster, but it does misrepresent the movie. Number 3. Controversial sex scene. The movie stars Kate Capshaw as the female lead, Jane DeVries, who is something of a love interest for the Gardner character. Yep, in 1984, Capshaw played the female lead in both Dreamscape and Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. But in the halfway mark of the movie, there is something of a raunchy scene where Gardner enters Jane's dream, where we see a steamy sex scene on a train. However, when the movie was released in theatres, it was decided that the scene didn't fit the criteria of a PG-13 rating, and thus it was too naughty and had to be removed. However, when Dreamscape was released on VHS, the sexy train fiasco was put back into the movie. However, jump to Australia in 2004, and Dreamscape is released on DVD for the very first time. And once again, the scene has been removed. I mean, come on, guys! Is it really that much of an issue? I mean, seriously, I need some Dennis Quaid and Kate Capshaw 1980s train action. Is that too much to ask? Number 2, the Numchuck scene had to be removed from the British version of the film. Oh yeah, the British sure were funny when it came to nunchucks back in the day, so much so that all scenes involving nunchucks had to be removed from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon. And thus, the same applied to Dreamscape. In the scene where Tommy Ray tries to intimidate Gardner and the President of the United States by manifesting some nunchucks to threaten them with. Yep, because of the British fear of martial arts weapons, this scene was cut from the British release. Which, when you think about it, is a bit of a shame, as it shows just how intimidating Tommy Ray can be. Number 1. Dreamscape is a precursor to Inception and The Matrix. Without a doubt, Dreamscape would go on to inspire other movies that would be released many years afterwards, such as Inception and The Matrix. Both movies follow many ideas and themes set in Dreamscape. In fact, I find the dream sequences to be much more effective in Dreamscape than I do Inception, as they actually look and feel strange and surreal. They actually look like bizarre worlds artificially created by the mind, with many imaginative and innovative ideas used in the dream worlds, such as snake monsters and a train going for an apocalyptic world. Whereas the dreams in Inception just look like they all consisted of businessmen going about their corporate lives in an ordinary looking world. Like Dreamscape, Inception uses the idea of business-like espionage being conducted via travelling into dreams. Then of course there's The Matrix, which explores other elements that Dreamscape explores, such as the ability to manipulate and alter the environment of a dream world, and using the artificial world to make yourself powerful and gain abilities. And The Matrix also follows Dreamscape's logic, that if you die in the dream world, you die in real life. Whether intentional or not, both Inception and The Matrix explore themes and ideas that Dreamscape had previously tapped into many years earlier. So I believe that because of this, and considering how big and mainstream both The Matrix and Inception have become, Dreamscape definitely deserves more recognition, especially in regards to ambitious storytelling. Well guys, that was my look into the underrated classic that is Dreamscape. A movie that I highly recommend, especially if you're a fan of science fiction and cinema of the 80s. A very fascinating movie if you're like me and find dreams interesting, along with the idea of actually exploring dream worlds, and the consequences of such abilities. Anyway, I'm Minty, and sleep tight, with many pleasant dreams. See ya!